Millennial Life School Podcast with Sharon Kiron Khan.
Hey, welcome, John, to the Millennial Life School podcast. I know it's your first time on my show. Just want to say welcome. We met at an event in Los Angeles, and it's just really cool seeing you do what you're doing. And I wanted to have you on my podcast to just share a little bit about your story, what you do. And it's just such an honor to know you and to have you on my show. So welcome.
Thank you, Sharon. So my name is Doan, and so.
Oh yeah, just for the listeners, can you share a little bit about who you are and just share a little bit about your journey?
Okay. So at 8 years old, my parents decided to escape Vietnam, and so we left on a boat, and the journey lasted 7 days. We were lost in the oceans. About the 5th day, we ran out of food or water, and so we literally thought we were going to die. And so imagine on the 6th day when we had no more water, my lip was chapped, I couldn't breathe, and every air I sucked was like draining every liquid I have in my mouth. And by the time we were saved by the United States Navy 7 days later, I think the whole ship was actually like everybody thought they were going to die.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so when they brought us onto the boat, we were transported to a refugees island, a quarantine island. Sorry about that. It's called Coco Island. It's a quarantine island. So we stay there, and the island is beautiful. By the way, you can walk around the whole island within like half a day. And the water, you can go like for 200 feet, and the water only comes up to your waist, and the fish swim up to you. And I guess the fish wasn't scared of us because they didn't know what it was. And so I remember living there, and there was monkey, and I was just free. And there was like they didn't have no houses, but they have shack. They built these shacks for the quarantine people. And after about 6 months, they transported to the Philippine Island. And from there, we were sponsored to the United States in 1982.
Wow. How old were you again?
I was 8 years old.
Wow.
And so when I came here, I didn't speak the language or I understood the culture. And so I had a hard time fitting in. And I was 8 years old in the first grade. I didn't do well. ABC was hard. And so I flunked first grade. And by the time I was 9 years old, I was still in the first grade. And, being a bigger kid in the first grade, having other kids tease me that I didn't speak English really well made me feel like really low about myself. I had a lot of insecurity. I would stutter every time I spoke in a classroom. I felt like I wasn't smart like everybody else.
Dang. So you came to America when you're 8 years old.
Right.
And from then, what has it been like just living in America and that transition?
It was tough because I would live in a small village in Vietnam where there was no running water, there was no electricity. We live in a bamboo hut in Vietnam, and I was running around barefoot, right? And so I felt like even though we were poor and extremely destitute, but I felt happy. I didn't felt judged. Everybody else was just as poor as I was, right? But coming to America, you see people with nice cars, they have nice clothes, and immediately you feel outcast. If I was wearing Goodwill clothes, sometimes there was no clothes, I wear my sister's clothes because her clothes was cleaner. And so her clothes were the women clothes. They had pink pants, different pockets. I didn't understand that it was different. I thought everything was the same. And going to school wearing women clothes or having ripped up clothes, I was often teased. They called me Goodwill baby. And so I always felt that I was embarrassed, ashamed of being poor. And I always wanted not to feel poor, not to be embarrassed being poor. And so I was started to believe that, you know what, if I do certain things that help me aggregate from being poor, that I can have status, that I can feel good about myself. And which is not true, because even though you're happy in that moment that you have nice clothes or whatever, it never satisfies the hunger of the need to feel important.
Wow. Dang. And I know a little bit about your story from, when we talked and stuff, but can you share a little bit about what your 20s were like?
So, let's start with the teens and before I go to the 20, right? So in my teens, I was at 14, I was in middle school, I think, or high school. And I always admire other kids that come in with a nice car and they dress well, And so I was like, man, I want to be like them. I want to be cool. I want to be popular. I want to have the nice car. And, and so I started to feel like if to get that, I had to be a part of that lifestyle, right? And so instead of doing what my mom said, go to school or study hard and become a doctor, a lawyer, whatever you want to be, school or even made me feel I'm not wanted. The people in school that made me feel that worthless already. So whatever she was pushing on me was not registering to my heart or my mind. But those guys that dressed nice, had the pretty girl, and had the nice clothes, they attracted me because I had to fulfill my unmet need of feeling accepted and loved and wanted, right? And so I started hanging around with bad, influenced people. They became my mentor. It taught me how to steal cars, and next thing you know, do more illegal activities, which led me to going to juvenile hall at 16 years old. I went to Y at 15, and by the time I was 21, I was so deeply involved in the criminal lifestyle and the gang lifestyle that I didn't even care about myself. I had no. If you have no self-worth, you don't have no self-worth for yourself. That means you don't care about whoever you hurt either. And so by the time I was 21, I was incarcerated, arrested for murder. I was out with 2 friends, and they were being bullied and picked on by 9 other people. By the time I got there, I saw them being bullied. Immediately in my criminal gang mentality, nobody's going to pick on my friend. I don't care if there's 9 of you or 3 of you. We're going to have to do something about this. And so when they challenged my friend was kind of scared. He kind of like, I don't want no problem. I felt like it was my duty to protect them. That it was my duty to, because I think it's going back to the time when I was bullied. I felt helpless. I felt nobody's going to be there to protect me. And so when I see them being bullied, the first thing I do is I went over and protect them. And my protection is kind of, I think, overreactions. Either I felt like you're going to be the victim or you're going to be the victimizer, and I was going to no longer want to be the victim no more. And so when my friend pulled out a gun to threaten these guys to leave him alone, they weren't scared, they weren't intimidated. So instead, I took the gun from my friend and I pulled the trigger and shot one of the person because he was the one that was the most vocal, the most intimidating. And I told him, leave him alone. He said, no, I'm not going to leave him alone, F you. And when he said the word F you, I took it as a challenge now. So I took it as, if I don't do nothing, I'm going to look stupid, I'm going to look embarrassed in front of my peers. And so I said I had to pull the trigger to show them that I'm not a punk, I'm not nobody. Which that led to my incarceration of 15-year life. So being incarcerated for 15-year life, it didn't change or deter my mental thinking, my work belief system that I had to be tough, I had to be crazy, I had to not show weakness and be intimidated by other people. So in that, my incarceration, I came to prison violence. I started acting violent to show people that we're not intimidated, we're not scared, which led me to be incarcerated for 26 years. But after the 15 years to 18 years, I think 5 years before I was paroled, I started to make a real sincere change about myself. So the 5 years before I was paroled, I made a sincere change by reflecting on all the people I've harmed, how my lifestyle was, and who did I impacted by my mistakes. And it goes back to one time when I burglarized somebody's home on Christmas. I went to their home. There was nothing to steal, but I opened the present. When I opened the present, there was nothing but T-shirts and shorts. These people were so poor, and I can imagine they coming home from church, opening it, seeing that the present open, and there was nothing. I destroyed that moment with them as Christmas.
This was how old?
I was like 14. Yeah, and so I looked back, man, I thought it was no big deal because I didn't take nothing, right? But I opened their present, and they were just as poor as me. And their family put together a couple presents for them, and I took that moment from them. And so that made me reflect on all the stuff I've done wrong, and I have to make serious change. And I said, not just to change yourself, but how do I change and impact my community once I get out? Because you change for yourself, in the end, you're just going to be selfish because you say that I'm changing, that's okay, I don't want to bother nobody, nobody bother me. But then how many other people that's going to follow my footsteps, that's going to make the same decision that didn't get the right mentorship to change?
Just a question. So that 21 years old if he was sitting right here in this room with us and I were to ask him, hey, like, who do you believe you are? What do you think he would say?
At 21? At that time? That's open-ended question, so I can say that at the time I believed that I was bad as ass dude, that I was not afraid of death, that I want to prove myself to my peers that I was tough, that I was mean, that I have no empathy for other people, because at that age having respect was more important. You know, having respect and being fair is more important to me than anything else.
Yeah. If he was here right now and you could tell him something as you right now, what's like a word of advice or something that you would love to tell him?
Right. I think that if I can talk to my 21-year-old self is, I know you're going through some pain. I know there's things in life that you cannot change. But what you can change is how you choose to live your life. Because the moment you hurt somebody, you can't take it back. The moment you break that law, commit the crime, you're harming a lot of people. Just because you think that you shoot a gun in the air, you're not harming nobody. But in reality, you're hurting your neighbors. They're scared to go outside at night. Because of your criminal activities, people are afraid of being robbed. And so your lifestyle is going to hurt you, your family, and it's going to put you in prison for 26 years.
Yeah.
Where you lost your father, where everybody you know have disappeared. And so you have to think hard. Do I continue this lifestyle? Or do I have to say, you know what? I can ask for help. No matter how bad you're going through life, somebody's going through worse than you. Somebody's going through worse.
Yeah. You mentioned you were incarcerated for 26 years.
Right.
What would you say is like the biggest lesson being in prison has taught you?
My belief system, the way I think. I think that if somebody guided me at 14 or maybe like a little bit younger, that the way I think back then would have been changed. Like I wish I could think the way I am today and go back like 20, 30 years ago. So it's my belief system. That the biggest change in me is my belief system. That I no longer think it's okay to hurt somebody. I no longer think it's okay to lie or devalue myself. You know, and I no longer think it's okay to listen to my tell you who you are, define who you are. And I start to define myself now, who I am. And so the way I think now has completely changed. I don't let other people dictate how I live my life or who I should define myself. Today I define my own self by what I do.
Following that question of if the 21 years old you was here and I asked him like, who do you believe you are? But like you right now, after years of just learning and growing and moving forward, if I am to ask you right now, like, hey, John, who are you? Like at a deeper level, who do you believe you are?
I know that I'm a person who respects other people. I have a lot of compassion, empathy for other people now today. I'm the person who care about people and listen to their problems. I'm a person that's always willing to help somebody else in need. But I'm also mindful of my words, how I can hurt people, affect people, and every action I take is like committing harms or benefit to other people. And so today I'm more thoughtful of other people, and I'm more humble, and I do it like I said today. I would be able to say that I can ask for help, and that was one of my problems. I wouldn't be able to ask for help back then. And so today I'm much more understanding and compassionate person.
Yeah. And like what do you think is like that moment where like that actually like hit in your head? Because you know, you look at someone who is living a lifestyle and making bad choices that they know like, hey, this is not good for you, this is not good for your family, and it's not gonna be good for your, you know, future generation. But there's constantly still every day choosing that lifestyle versus like coming to realize like, hey, you know, now I understand like the effects of my actions, or like I understand like at a bigger level, like coming to that understanding now. What do you think is like the significant moment that happened, or that realization that kind of hit for you?
So, you know, as I understand why I start to learn more about myself is that we all know right and wrong.
Yeah.
So we're all raised in a family that will teach you something is wrong, something right. When you harm people is wrong. When you commit a crime is wrong. When you're doing something, it's like hot. When it's hot, don't touch, right? So we always have an understanding or instinct, of innate ability to understand right and wrong. The problem is we choose to do wrong because it makes us feel good.
What do you mean?
So, for example, I know stealing a car is wrong. There's a consequence for stealing a car.
Yeah.
Like if I steal a car, I get caught, I go to jail, right? And I'm away from my family. But I still want to do it because stealing a car make me feel good because I'm able to drive my friend around. I'm able to do things with that car that I could never have because I see other people drive a car. So if I have a car, even though a stolen one, I'm popular.
Yeah.
I'm important. So it boiled down to understanding what made me feel that way, the need to feel important, the need to feel accepted, the need to feel accolade, right? So once I start to understand that feeling and where it comes from, that's when I start to understand why I have to change that, right? So the character defects I have, I created, but where that feeling comes from. And so when I start to understand, wait a minute, I have to reverse that. So now when I look for acceptance, I no longer need, and I keep on explaining to people when I ask this question, do you still need acceptance, right? And that's kind of a vague trick question. And people say, no, I don't need acceptance no more because I'm beyond the gang lifestyle. And I tell them, no, you still do need acceptance. It's just today I look for acceptance from my family, from my law enforcement, from pro-social people. It's still there. The need is still there. But we transfer that need from something negative to something positive. That's it. And so you have to change your mindset by thinking, okay, why do I have to be angry? Where does the anger come from? Or why do I have to steal? Where does that still come from? Selfishness, right? Why do I have to steal, right? Why do I have to act crazy to get attention?
Yeah.
Well, those are the cause of my roots that I need to figure out why before I start to begin to change. If I don't understand where it comes from, I'm always going to behave the same way because, like I said, I know it's wrong to get in a fight, but it feels good to get in a fight and win. Right? Today, if you challenge me to fight, I'll back down because you know why? I understand myself today. Fighting doesn't make me a better person, right? But walking away from fight make me a humble person.
Yeah.
It actually make me stand out more.
It sounds like your value system has shifted. Like, I guess, like, when you're younger, it was like, oh, like, I value that popularity. Oh, how am I going to get that? Oh, I need that car. Oh, I don't have the money to get it, so I'm going to steal. And because that still means that you're going to have that value, something that you wanted. But it sounds like right now, like, your value of, like, your character has shifted.
Right. Completely. I think that when I was in a criminal lifestyle, when I was in the gang lifestyle, my value was important. Where I value respect, I value accolade, I value to feel important, need to feel important. So my value is based upon what do I need to do to get me these feelings to make me feel good. But today my value is more of servitude. I value community service. I value compassion, empathy, and my value have transferred into like, you know what? The least we can do is spend some time with somebody and help them out. That's the least, you know, and we can transfer that to other people.
Yeah. What would you say to a young person who's kind of living in that mind space of like, hey, like, I need to act crazy. I need to do this. I need to steal and like do all that stuff to like receive what I need to receive. Or like someone who feels like is in that really dark place where, you know, they're not caring, like they don't have self-worth. What would you want to say to that young person?
I think one of my friends said it really well. Her name is Maricela. I asked her that question, right? And she said, I asked her the question because she said she had low self-esteem. And I asked her the question, so how do you get your self-esteem back? How do you get your self-worth back? And she said that it's like a sporting card, right? You might be good at one thing, but you might be good at nothing. But you take the one that's good and you tap yourself in the back. So you might not be good at one thing, but you might be good at something else. So don't focus always on the one that you can't do well, but focus on the one that you could do well. That way it helps start to build your self-esteem, your self-confidence. If you got a C in math, but you got an A or B in English, you already do something well. So don't beat yourself down because you didn't get the all A's, right? And so like she said, I always find value in what I do good. So that way I can build myself because I can't wait for somebody else to tell me I'm good.
Yeah, that's good. I think it's so important, and I talk about this in my coaching workshops too, like the importance of where your focus is on. Because if like there were like 9 good things, but one bad thing happened, and your focus is on that one bad thing, you're gonna say, "Oh, I had a terrible day."
Right.
But if you focus on all the good things that happened, even like yes, acknowledge that something bad did happen as well. But then, hey, like. But look, I also have a lot of good things, and you can build on top of that. And I feel like a lot of us, like, we're so good at focusing on that, like, little thing that we don't like about ourselves. And, like, when we look at ourselves in the mirror, that's all we see. When we show up in social settings, we're like, oh, why am I like this? And we only focus on that one thing that we're just like, oh, like, I don't like this about myself.
Right.
And when your focus is there, it's like, oh, no wonder you have low self-esteem. No wonder you don't see all the good things, because it's like that little thing is like up on your face, and that's all you see.
Right. So I wrote a piece of paper for my class, and one of the things I said was our culture, like the American culture, right, or even Asian culture in general, right, we emphasize on sports. American culture is most. If you do really good in sports, man, your parents congratulate you. You get trophy, you get award. If you do good in school, you get a nice certificate, you get a high grade point average, and you're chasing the clout, the grade, right? You get an award for sports and academic, right? But I wish that there was more chance when the teacher said, you know what, I'm going to give you an A because you were polite. I'm going to give you an A for being kind. And so we need to transfer the positive message. And not just a trophy right there that said you did good in sports, but said, you know what, you're a good person, you get an A. How about that? When you're kind to your classmate, you get an A.
Yeah.
And when we reinforce that at home, when parents start to reinforce at home, that remind their kid that they're good at certain things, and not just always sports or academics, right? But also that, you know what, I seen what you did today. You're a really good kid. And so when we reinforce that, it made them believe that, wait a minute, I might not be good in sports. I might be the smartest kid in school, but my mom said I'm a good person. And that registers to how you develop yourself as an adult. You see yourself as a good person. You're trying to emulate that constantly, the reinforcement, positive image that you have.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do more, like to remind people they're good, right? And I don't have to tell you you're beautiful. I don't have to tell you you're smart. You already know that. But if sometimes I say, man, that was a good job, or something you did was nice, you were kind, they deserve that reward too.
It's good.
Right?
Yeah. And I know that you are involved in the nonprofit organization Fear for Breakfast. Can you share a little bit more about what you guys do and what, I guess, the mission, the purpose of Fear for Breakfast is?
All right, let me get my phone so I can read the mission. So I'm not going to verbatim give you the missions, but the overall message, but Fear for Breakfast is we want to bring healings, emotional and mental healing to everyone. So in our nonprofit, we actually run classes. We develop programs, workshops to help you understand personal development, gang prevention, victim impacts, and criminal thinking, criminal addictive behavior, right? So we have a lot of criminal addictive behavior. We don't understand why. We love gambling. We like to, almost every addictive behavior, we can address that, right? We teach people how to address that. But beside that, we also do community outreach. We have people to go to a nursing home to talk to the elderly people. We have our recreational, environmental secretary. She go help clean the streets because she loves the recycling. But our mission is not more of rehabilitations, but as part of preventions. How do we send our message out to educate these younger people or people in general, to educate them to not choose to go steal, but choose to do something else? How do we educate them to say it's not okay to be used violent to solve your problem? But to use communication, effective communication to solve your problem. So now we're addressing their core belief. Why do you get that core belief, and why do you think it's okay to solve the problem in that manner? So our classes teach you to rewire your brain. And I was telling a friend, when you can talk to certain people, you can tell. It's like you bought a house, and when you turn the light switch on, the lights don't go on. So you know what you do? You got to rewire the whole house. And sometimes it's just like the brain. We have to rewire the whole brain and not just one section. And our mission is to educate people on how to change the core belief or the behavior to one of negative to something positive.
Wow, that's good. So on that note, do you feel like you've been able to do a lot of that work yourself? And what was that process like for you?
A lot of time, dedications, and hard work. Me and my partner Tway, we went and actually we did almost everything that you can expect of us, actually more. And sometimes people don't understand. Nonprofit don't mean you get paid. It's actually free. Right now, we're just doing it out of our own pocket. We spend our own time and money to facilitate a classroom, buying food, and having an event and meeting with people, driving people here and there. So I think we did it 4 times already. People get out of prison. Some of them have no strong support system. So what I do is I drive up there, pick them up, take them out to eat, go shopping, and just show them a good time, something positive, right? And I remind them, look, I just got out too. But instead of choosing go back into my friend, I choose something positive. And so I want to give them a sense of support that you can have with us. And so I've done that multiple times, and it has cost me a lot of money, and I travel a lot with my partner. But it's rewarding to see these people coming out and say, you know what, thank you for being there. Just like Mike said.
For sure.
We gave him some reinforcement that, hey, support is real. We're not going to abandon you just because you got out, because we don't want you to turn back to the old you.
Yeah.
And so we do a lot of stuff like that too.
Yeah, for sure. I think something that, just like meeting you, that I've been inspired by is I think a lot of people do things that they regret and they feel remorseful about, but not a lot of people do something about it to create change so that your actions are not repeated and are not passed down. But I feel like what you're doing is you're actively doing things to prevent kids from going that route, because you understand and you have lived out the consequences of committing a crime. And it's like, wow, like that's inspiring. And that, I think that's such a story of like that second chance. Yeah. That's awesome. This is a final question. This is a question that I ask all my guests on my podcast. So a lot of my listeners on this podcast are in their 20s and 30s. So if you were to write a letter to young leaders who are in their 20s and 30s, a letter that begins with these 2 words, Dear Millennials, what would you write?
Well, that's a tough one. So, dear millennial, that's a tough one. Put me on the spot right there. I guess I want to tell them that you can't take life too seriously, or you overwhelm yourself with stress and worry and problem of the world. And you have to take a moment to breathe and relax. And if some people are close to your friends that tell you you're this and you're that and you're not this and you're not doing certain things, you have to ask yourself this question: how do I define myself and not let them define me? And so you have to go out there and do things that make you happy, because at the end of the day, when you look back, you're going to regret a lot of stuff you should have done that make you happy. And so don't overwhelm yourself with too much stress, take on too many things that you cannot handle, and just prioritize. Do what's the most important, right? And just do one thing at a time. And don't let anybody redefine you. You have to redefine yourself.
That's good. And for those who are listening, they want to support what you guys are doing, stay connected, where can they go to find your stuff?
Please find us on Fear for Breakfast, or look it up at Google. You will see us there, and we have our mission statement and what we do and who we are. You can support us by signing up as a membership or subscribe to our video channel. Subscribe and share. We would love to have more people involved.
Yeah.
And we're going to be holding groups and meetings, so just contact us. That way we can have a bigger broadcast.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on the Millennial Life School podcast. Thank you so much for being here and for what you are doing and creating change in the world.
Thank you.
Awesome. Hey guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Some of the things that this episode and re-listening to the conversation that I had with John really got me thinking is about the importance of knowing and understanding yourself, and also the importance of instilling a healthy sense of self-esteem for people at a young age. And I actually heard someone say this in one of their workshops at Fear for Breakfast. And someone said this: those who are closest to the problem have the solution. So I've been inspired by John and his organization and what they're doing to be a solution and to be an example of hope for people who are inside. So if you guys want to learn more about what they do and support the organization, you can go to fearforbreakfast.org. And if you enjoyed this episode or just have been learning a thing or two from this podcast, I would really appreciate it if you can leave a review and share with other people. It's free to leave a review and to share, but it really helps us a lot and we can help more people learn and grow together. So thank you so much for being here. And also just thinking about what John said about grades and everything. If you were kind to people around you today, thank you for being kind. I give you an A plus for being a kind person today. So thank you, and I'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Bye.